Hey folks, I'm Pete and we're doing Pete's Eats Cooking videos. Today we're going to make fabulous French pastries using puff pastry dough. And you can get this recipe for the dough. It'll be in the bottom bar below. There's a video already on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make French Palmiers. I think these are probably the best desserts for the least amount of work that you possibly could make. It's unbelievable. We take puff pastry dough and sugar, and really, that's just about it. So let's get to it. You'll see how easy these are, and I guarantee you everyone will love them. So what you're going to need to make this is the puff pastry dough, some regular everyday old sugar. You're going to need a little bit of powdered sugar for sprinkling over them at the end, a rolling pin. A dough scraper comes in really handy. You'll see a nice tray to bake them in and parchment paper to put them on, and a nice flipper, okay? With respect to the tray, you want a thicker aluminum or a tray so that they don't burn when you put them in the oven, because we are going to bake them at 450 degrees. So if you get a nice thicker aluminum tray, you'll see it'll work out a lot better. So let's begin. I'm going to be using one batch of puff pastry dough, which is about 1.5 kilograms or just over 3 pounds. If you follow my video, it's one batch. I'm going to begin by putting sugar on the rolling surface. So a nice layer of sugar down on the rolling surface. It seems pretty bizarre, but it works beautifully. And I'm going to put the puff pastry dough right on the sugar. And I'm going to actually put some more sugar right on top of the dough. So I got sugar underneath it and sugar on top of it, and now I'm going to roll it out into a nice rectangle. Okay, let's roll it out. I want to form a nice rectangle. Shape is important here. You definitely want it rectangular, so it's going to take a little bit of work. I want to end up with a piece that is about, I don't know, just under 1/4 inch, so maybe 3/16 or between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch. So as I go, I'm just taking some of this sugar from the sides and putting it on top. I'm not quite finished rolling it out, but I want that sugar nicely distributed. So here's the final rolled out sheet. It ended up about 14 inches wide by 21 inches long. You need at least a foot of width here because we're going to fold it over on itself to make the final form. So let's begin. Now we just have to make sure we have a nice layer of sugar on top, and I have a lovely layer of sugar here, and I'm going to make my first fold. So I'm going to fold it about 1/4 of the way over on one side and about 1/4 of the way on the other side. Okay, and now I'm going to fold it the other half and the other half. This one I'll have to probably force a bit. So now I've made 2 folds on each side. And now I'm just going to fold it over onto itself. So I'm going to fold it over onto itself for the final fold, and there you go. So now I'm going to cut them into the forms. You just cut them across like this, about 1/4 of an inch. Now the first one might be a little dicey, but you definitely want a really sharp knife to do this. So I'm just going to cut them about 1/4 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch. You'll notice I'm putting them right into a pile of sugar because I want to coat them up nicely in the sugar. What I like to do is once I have them, I like to give them a good dunking in sugar before I place them on the parchment. So I give it a bit of a dunk and then put it on the parchment. Okay, I put them on the parchment paper on the tray, and you'll notice I try to leave a little bit of space. I kind of move them out a bit so that they have room to expand. I try and do that. And I also alternate from up and down, up and down, up and down. It gives them a little bit more room. And these ones in the middle, so they're sort of the odd pieces and whatnot. They'll still come out wonderful, but they won't have your normal sort of palmier look to them. So I'm going to pop them in a 450 degree oven. I'm going to take a really close eye on them. And after about 8 minutes or so, I'm going to pull them out and give them a flip. Here's the second tray, it's ready to go. But the first tray is still in the oven. And since I've got some time, I don't want to leave this out. I want to keep it as cool as possible. So I'm going to put it in the fridge so the butter stays nice and hard. And that's the best thing to do. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge until the first ones are done. So that's been 10 minutes. And I'm going to give them a flip now. I'm going to flip them right over. They're looking beautiful. And then I'm going to pop them back in the oven. So I'm going to flip them all over. Whoops. I'm going to flip them all over and pop them right back in the oven to finish them. These are just turning out absolutely beautiful. You can see the layers of the puff pastry. They've expanded out nicely, and you want to work fairly quickly to get them right back into the oven. So here they are sizzling right out of the oven. That took about another 6 minutes, so in total it was 8 minutes and 6 minutes. But the first batch always takes a little bit longer. You really do have to keep your eye on them because you don't want them to burn. So here's the first batch out of the oven. I've let them cool a bit, and now I'm going to just dust them up with the icing sugar. And these will be the best pastry you have ever eaten in your entire life. I guarantee it. So here they are, folks, my first batch of Palmiers. I have to watch, I've got another one in the oven. I don't want them to burn. These are delicious. I really recommend that you give these a try. Make them, make the puff pastry. Don't get all caught up with the geometry of the rectangle. Whatever, they'll be a little bit smaller, they'll be a little bit bigger, but they'll be just as delicious. Enjoy!